What's going on, Tar Heels? Alan here, one half of the Hill Brothers, coming at you with the Alabama preview to kick off this ACC versus SEC challenge. Alabama comes in to the Dean Smith Center, ranked number 10 in the country. North Carolina has slipped all the way to 20th after losing 2 consecutive games to wrap up the Maui Invitational. It's not really the way UNC wanted to have that Maui Invitational go. We can speak on it a little bit. It seemed like North Carolina, for whatever reason, just could never get started in the first half. The one game, well, they played Hawaii before the Invitational, thoroughly. Handled them pretty well. Um, more talented, more gifted, however you want to say it. Kick off the Invitational, starting off with Dayton. Uh, End up ending the first half down by 18, started the second half to get done by 21. Then UNC decides to make a miraculous comeback to winning in regulation. Moves on to face Auburn in the second round. Again, North Carolina gets down double digits by halftime, has to make a comeback. I believe they get it. They cut the lead to 2 or 3, and then just never could get over the hump. If North Carolina could play in the second half, or if North Carolina could play the first half like they've been playing these second halves, North Carolina is probably an undefeated team at this point in the season, with wins over Kansas, wins over Auburn, and we're looking at a top 5 UNC team. So they fall to the losers bracket to play Michigan State, and North Carolina pretty much owns Michigan State in whatever tournament they're playing in. And again, they come out slow, never can down by double digits again in the first half, get down by double digits again in the second half, make a comeback. Seth Trimble hits a miraculous 3 to send it to overtime, and they never lead in overtime. Or I'm not sure. They might have led in overtime. They lose in overtime. That's all that matters. So they finish the tournament 1-2 in the Maui Invitational. Could have easily been 0-3. Like the UConn Huskies was, and that fiasco that is Dan Hurley, and leaving everybody with a lot of questions. What's the identity of this UNC team? They haven't been playing good defense. They haven't been getting out to these strong, fast starts. And everybody knew that the size was going to be the biggest question coming in, and the size did play a factor against. I think played a factor against Auburn. From what I've seen, I've watched both the Auburn game and the Kansas game, and from what I know, Auburn looks like the best team in the country. They're big, they're physical, they're athletic, and they're older, and they're experienced. However, UNC has been right there with both of those teams. If they just play a better first half, I mean, who knows what that second half turns into. So they leave Hawaii, the beautiful place of Hawaii, come back to, for around freezing temperatures to play the number 10 team in the country in Alabama. Alabama comes in. It's a big winners over 2 straight over North Carolina. They lost in 2022 season. Again, no, the 23 season in the Phil Knight Invitational out on the West Coast. The 4 overtime thriller of that, saw North Carolina not be able to take down Brandon Miller and the Crimson Tide. Then just last year, North Carolina faces off with Alabama again, Sweet 16, back and forth game. Then the second half, Alabama just gets going, and North Carolina never could quite hit enough shots to put them away. So this Alabama North Carolina basketball game has really become like somewhat of a small rivalry. When you get to looking at it, I don't think neither one of these teams particularly care for each other. I don't think neither one of these fan bases particularly care for each other. Me personally, I don't particularly care for Nate Oates. Nate Oates is like Dave Dorn of basketball, in my opinion. But They got a bunch of returners. They got some nice recruits in. They got a couple good freshmen in from high school. We'll start this thing out with Mark Sears. Everybody knows who Mark Sears is, an elite point guard, potential All American at the end of the season to go along with RJ Davis for UNC. Sears comes in averaging 16 points per game. He's only shooting 20, you might as well call it 29% from three. He really hasn't gotten going, just like RJ. He hasn't really gotten going this season. I believe he was held scoreless in one game. I think it was against Illinois. Never scored a point. Then the guy that gave North Carolina fits in the Sweet 16 match that nobody could seem to guard. Whether it be the 3 point line, inside the painted area, or on a drive, and that's Grant Nelson. He comes in averaging 13 points a game. Averaging 8 rebounds per game. That leads the team. So I mean, he's kind of like Mr. Do It All, which he was in the second half of that Sweet 16 match. That he's really one that put Alabama uh, over the top in that second half. To send UNC home in the Sweet 16. And this is where it gets interesting. Cliff Amore, North Carolina really went after him in the transfer portal last season. North Carolina really thought they had a shot. Alabama comes in. Sure, Alabama was able to offer to him uh, probably more money than UNC was wanting to or wanted to offer him. But the fun thing is, he's only averaging 7 points per game, and he's only playing 18 minutes. So UNC is like, oh, we missed out on bigs. We missed out on bigs. Well, this big that's playing for Alabama is really not playing a whole lot. Now that could change against North Carolina because we all know after he committed to Alabama, he had, his name's Clifford, so he had Clifford the Big Red Dog, like slam dunking a ball, and the team that he was slam dunking a ball in was in that our favorite color, the baby blue. Now whether that was like a shot or just like a hee haw funny meme that he made after he committed to Alabama instead of UNC, who knows? But I'm sure he'll be fired up to play in this game just like the next guy I'm going to talk about, a former recruit out of high school, Jaron Stevenson. North Carolina recruited him real hard out of high school. He made other decisions. He went to Alabama so far this season. He's only averaging 5 points per game, and he's only playing 13 minutes per game. So he's not doing a hell heck of a lot either. But I'm sure coming to the Dean Smith Center playing against the North Carolina Tar Heels that he was recruited by, that he decided to go elsewhere. I'm sure he'll be fired up to play in this game. He's big, he's long, he's athletic. All the things that seem to give North Carolina a problem at that stretch four spot, or if they want to go big, he could. I'm sure he could play at the three and put a lot of size on the court. I'm not going to be there. I have work. I would love to be at this game. I'll wear white from my living room. I hope that place is slam full, 22,000 people, just white everywhere, and it's just a ruckus crowd. North Carolina really needs this win. They don't have that signature win. Yes, they beat Dayton. It took a 21-point comeback to beat them. That you hope going forward that that's a quad one win for all the net rankings. But December's, I mean, December is a big month for the Tar Heels. They play Florida. They're going to play UCLA, and they got this Alabama team. That's really outside of the two games you play at Duke and the two games you play against Pittsburgh. Those are probably your best chances for high quality wins. It doesn't look like the ACC is going to be too strong this season um, for whatever reason. Um, so North Carolina's really got to get on this winning mojo, um, and it all gets started tonight, Wednesday night at 7:15. Dean Smith Center. Paint that thing white. I think North Carolina. This is going to be a high scoring game. Unless the defense changes around. I'm not sure if the defense is who knows what the defense is going to be. Honestly, it's one of the worst in the country right now. Um, averaging 80, average giving up 80 some odd points per game. Um, we'll say I think North Carolina's going to come out inspired. I think Hubert Davis is going to have his team ready to play. Again, it's Alabama. These teams are familiar with each other. They have history over the past 2-3 years now. Um, and it's just two big time programs. Alabama is starting to cement itself as one of those top 10 programs, um, primarily because of the NIL that they're able to offer to these transfers, to these top tier high school recruits. They can just pay. They can just pay more, or not that North Carolina can't pay more. I think that Alabama is just willing to throw money at stuff and just see what happens. Um, I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to come down to who can probably hit more threes. Alabama is not going to take a lot of 2-point shots unless it's just a guaranteed bucket. Um, they love to shoot the 3-pointer. It's either going to be a 3-pointer or a dunk. Don't look for Alabama to shoot many 2-point shots. There's no mid range game here. So this is going to be a scoring machine. I think this game ends up, we'll say North Carolina 97, Alabama 93. North Carolina gets that first big signature win. Puts everybody on notice. Hey, we've been right there with the best teams in the country. We haven't gone nowhere. Yes, we lost 2 games in Maui, but UConn lost 3 games in Maui. Good teams can still lose. It's basketball. It just sometimes the shots go in, sometimes the shots don't go in, and sometimes the other team's shots go in more than yours. That's what makes March Madness so great. Anybody can win that thing as long as their shots are going in. We had 97-93, UNC kicking off the ACC SEC Challenge, 7:15 p.m. ESPN. Wear your white. Get out there, yell, scream, real loud. And as always, go Heels.
You don't want none!